What's the law about the amount of vehicles?
We're gonna have the better Brandon drawing. With Mr. Burns.
Okay, we're gonna draw for $50 for somebody who owns one of these hard hats. We'll find someone trustworthy to do this drawing. Just pick out one.
Should have gone near the bottom.
Number 310, number 310. Town Manager Atherton, who would that be?
Hold on. That would be Ardenia Murdoch.
Ardenia Murdoch, $150. Thank you.
Good for our dude.
Thank you, Mr. Carnes. Mr. Carnes.
I think I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah. So good evening, I'll call the Brandon Select Board to order. The quorum is present. First item is to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second? Sure. Mr. Giles moves and Mr. Coolidge seconds. Are there any changes to be made? I have one, or three. At number 4, after number 4, I'd like to set the July Select Board meeting dates because one will have to change. So 4A will be to change a July meeting date. After number 9, we'll have a transfer station update as 9A. And then we'll have a wetland reclassification update as 9B. Any other changes to be made? Any other changes to be made?
Verizon Wireless.
I will just clarify for those present and those watching at home, we have a 5-member select board, 2 selectmen are unable to attend tonight. That means that all votes tonight have to be unanimous to carry. So we'll be looking for 3 selectmen saying yes. All in favor, so I'll be voting on everything. All in favor of the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Item 2, approval of the minutes of June 10th.
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Coolidge moves to approve.
I say.
Mr. Giles seconds. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes as presented? None heard. All in favor of approval of the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Item 3, the town manager's report.
My report for the weeks of June 10th and June 17th, most of it's construction related. Union Street sidewalk, Markowski was the low bidder on the sidewalk project. We'll be signing a contract shortly for construction this year. They're looking at probably September-ish to do the Union Street sidewalk. Park Street went out to bid today, about 2 hours ago. So we'll have, I think, 3 weeks, and then we'll be opening bids on that. So we finally got there. We do have a lot of interest for contractors to still do this project within this year. So we're excited about that, and we'll see what the bids bring.
Just before you move on, what's the bid opening? It says the date, but
Yeah, 7/23.
July 23rd.
Cycle 6, the 2-week look ahead. You see they're doing topsoil and hedge seeding in various project locations. Continued night and day construction activities within segment C, inclusive installation of electrical conduit, installation of light pole bases, sidewalk, and curbing installation. You see they did a ton of curbing today, so those guys don't mess around. They should have all the seed done here by the end of the night. Segment A, which is the southern end, they're still doing water sewer drainage on the roadway there. High Street is the same thing, water improvements up there. We should see the water fountain location within Central Park and Crescent Park. Those should be done pretty soon. I see all the piping and some of the wiring is in there now. Yeah, just lots of sidewalk falling in, and it's going to start coming together. So I think they're going to do the underground conduit for the light post down here within the next couple of weeks as well. I was talking to one of them today, so we'll see the lamp post show up, and it's starting to look like something. Route 73, we just got an update from V-Trans on that as you see, they're reclaiming a lot of 73 right now, so that's the first step, and then they'll go into the Bomag machine and tear it out more, and then they mix it all up, kind of like what we did when we did Union Street, 4 years ago. So they're still planning on paving this year. We were awarded the grant for the electronic vehicle charging stations down here in the parking lot, so.
Great.
Excited about that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, but I'd forgotten that I put that date for Park Street bid in there. I was kind of excited that we finally got that out today, so.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Atherton. Questions for Mr. Atherton from the board? Mr. Bowden?
No question.
Mr. Coolidge?
Yeah, what about, for the turning lanes by Carver Street, Union Street?
Turn lanes.
Paint, white striping?
Oh, yeah, we'll go down eventually. There's still, because there's been one lane traffic in that most of the day today. So the turning lanes really will be just congested at this point, and they don't want to put the lanes in until they turn the lights back on.
The people seem to be in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And Franklin Street, they didn't look very good up by the Green Mountain Garage last weekend.
Well,
Pretty,
they've been blasting ledge.
yeah, but for the weekend, they didn't, it was not, I received some calls, not very good.
Okay,
So-
I'll let someone know.
Thank you.
I have none. Questions from the public for Mr. Atherton regarding his report? Any questions from the public present tonight?
Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. Powell?
Does this include questions about what's happening in segment 6?
Sure.
Oh, there's a large hole right outside here.
Yeah.
What's happening with that hole?
So that is, if you've seen old pictures of the town office, that used to be exposed and you can see the arches and it actually had a nice rail around it. Somewhere, we're thinking in the 1920s, they filled that over with concrete because of flooding. Before the culvert obviously was put in, the water would actually jump over the bridge. And so it was closed up. When they were working on the roadway for seminary out here, the bucket hit it, not very hard, and the concrete crumbled. So we are currently, and this is getting rolled into segment 6, which is good, but we're gonna have to redo that concrete base and the beams that are in there, so that's what's going on there.
It will not be open, it will be
No.
closed again, I'm
No,
sorry.
it'll be closed again.
Okay. And did any of that have to do with the foundation to the town hall?
No, they're not even really connected.
Town offices?
No,
Not the town offices?
no.
None of that, none of those concrete support beams are eroded too by all of that?
There's a little scouring underneath, some of the beams way in the back arch under the town office, but nowhere near what these are right now, so.
Fabulous, okay. Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Chief Raquel?
Is there still room for any changes to any signage locally, like around the parking area?
Well, we're still gonna have to do a new traffic ordinance with all of our stuff anyway, at the end of this project, because the board's gonna have to reduce speed limits and probably stop areas, so I would think that we would be able to.
I'm seeing one continual problem with cars that are coming out of the parking area where you're not supposed to be able to make a left-hand turn, and a ton of them make a left-hand turn, and I think there's a no left-hand turn arrow with a red line through it to your right, but everyone that's coming out is already looking to their left, and I didn't know if there could be one either on the other side or maybe that's facing that one more in a motorist line of sight, and they might see that.
I think too, like with Brian's question with like why aren't the lanes for the intersections right now is the traffic can change, momentarily depending on where they're working, and we saw that a few times today, so it's probably been okay right now that people are taking a left out of there because it does, leave some with congestion, so. But I think once the lights go back in place, we can we'll do something there, maybe one on the other side or whatever.
There could be line markings at that, since there's two-way traffic there. So is there going to be, it's a white line?
Yeah, I think we're putting lines in that one, yeah, it's going to be
That's just alleviated anyway.
Yeah, I think once too, we get the rest of the two race crosswalks done, like the cross-through traffic is gonna slow down significantly, because they'll be in the air if they hit that too fast, so, you know.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Bueller?
I was wondering, like this whole question that Charles asked about, that just adds to the budget, I guess, so, right? I mean, it's an expense, so.
It is, but
It's an added expense.
being rolled into the segment 6 project, the town's only 5% of the project, so.
So I guess it's helpful to us that it becomes part of segment 6 and that they didn't look at it as an unrelated project.
Because they kind of on budget so far?
Daryl always tells me everything's on time and on budget until the end.
That's exactly.
That's what general contractors do, I gotta tell you.
Do you have actual information?
No, we're pretty close to right on it, you know, so.
Good. And I have another
Yes,
question.
Mr. Bueller.
I'm hearing a lot of folks wondering where the crosswalk is between the bridge going that way towards the post office.
Mr. Carr?
It's on the Conant Square Apartments, Rash's Thayer House. The Conant
Where
Square
was it
Apartments,
before?
where it was before, yeah.
Okay.
The good thing is now that if you're coming from Conant Square and walking on your side, you have a beautiful sidewalk now.
Yeah.
Which you didn't before.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a significant improvement just with that, and then they can cross anywhere they want to through here.
Yeah.
The easiest way to tell where the crosswalks are going, like what you guys have in front of your building, that they call the truncated domes with the little, the yellow things, the the steel plates, that's where all the crosswalks will be.
Yeah, the ADA tips. I thought so, but folks have been asking.
Yeah, Judy Riley called me today actually about it.
Right, and I saw her today, and also Mrs. Briggs asked.
There's really no need to cross by Prospect Street anymore because there's good sidewalk. Before, it was just you and the Route 7 traffic, and nothing just in between you. So it's gonna reduce the amount of people wanting to cross over to Prospect Street.
Yeah.
Other questions for the town manager? Okay, we'll move on. The next item is public comment and participation. This would be questions to the board and/or the town manager for any topic that you don't see on the agenda tonight. I see we have some folks here. Anybody have anything they'd like the board to consider? Yes, sir.
I'm Joseph Jankowski, and 182 Old Basin Road where I live. Well, before that, we have issues with an RV that's parked, no sewer, no water, no electrical, with 4 people living in it, 2 kids, 2 adults. The boy, people know about it in the town. And we also have a trash issue at the corner. Unregistered vehicles, how many are allowed on the property? There's 6,
There's 7
6 or 7.
or 8.
I mean,
Is the code officer aware of?
Yes,
Yeah.
called him, never got an answer.
I was waiting to see what the letter would be that.
So actually Tom's here, our health officer, and I believe he met with the owner a week or so ago.
I did meet with the property owner. I have spoken with the zoning administrator. We have contacted the property owner. They're supposed to be cleaning it up. I have not been back up this week.
I called him too, I left a message on
I'm sure it hasn't
Yeah,
changed.
what he's done now is he's put his backhoe and a truck, a big dump truck, and then another red truck, so that he's got it barricaded, so we can't
You
see
can't really see in the grass. is growing,
what
so.
he's throwing out the back door, which he's been throwing out the back door all winter.
Of the home or
The home.
The trailer, the
Trailer.
home. The one in the RV has been putting their garbage in the pickup truck that they pushed further
Farther
back.
back behind the RV.
So between no septic, no water, no electricity, and now the garbage is just,
I know
we got a
the prior,
situation that's not good.
I know the prior RV that was parked somewhere seemed awful quick, but that one got moved out. Why isn't this one getting moved out quick?
I can't speak to the speed of it. I can just hear that the rental code officer has been to deal with the property owner. Generally, they give the property owner what's considered a reasonable length of time to address a violation. I don't know if we're at the end of that reasonable period of time or not. I don't know. How long has it been, Mr.
Mother's
Quillen?
Day was when they moved in.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm asking how long has it been since he saw them?
I saw them, I believe it was a week ago Thursday. I spoke to the property owner on site.
And did, was there a time frame established in the conversation?
Not a specific time frame, no, but I have been back by. It appeared that some of the garbage has moved, but, you know, the thing with, so it's difficult to differentiate between household garbage and, say, junk. The concern, my primary concern is household garbage attracting animals and rodents. Other things that are not food waste are, I want to say, less of a,
How much can he accumulate? Because it was a huge pile.
And where did it go?
Where'd it go if he moved it? Now, he's taking care of it. He's barricaded it, so as we come down the hill and, you know, down the road, can't see anymore.
And with a skid steer, how do we know he isn't bearing it on back? We have no,
I mean, even if it's not food garbage, how much trash can somebody accumulate? How much is allowed before it becomes another random dump or a landfill?
I don't have an exact answer for you, ma'am. I will continue to look into it.
I really would appreciate it because we take care of our property and that's horrendous.
Mr. Atherton?
So we had a similar situation a year ago. And it's okay when the landowners want to work with you and they realize it's a problem and they become overwhelmed with just what they have, and you know, it's difficult for some folks. When we deal with a homeowner who isn't unresponsive or, you know, just doesn't really care, it takes longer. And you know, the one we did last summer, I mean, that was a couple months that we dealt with that. You know, we had to call some other authorities and to help us out with that one too. So, you know, that might be the next step we take. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight, and you know, we'll keep doing what we can do to get it cleaned up.
So is this on your radar screen?
Oh gosh, yes. We've been, I think since the, I don't know, probably a month ago. I think it was. That's when it first came. Was maybe 6 weeks. But you know, you send
So do
letters.
you feel that the town is responding to your needs in an appropriate way?
We don't know. We haven't heard back
we
from
haven't got no
anybody.
information. I mean,
That's why we're here.
Exactly, and I guess that's why I'm wondering if you.
So the health officer, code officer is responding and working with the landowner. And is Mr. Biasuzzi involved? Is there any kind of land use issue?
I mean, it's all wells
So he's
up
aware
there
too.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
where's the waste going? And I'm right next to it.
yeah, we're wells, septic systems. How many trucks or vehicles are allowed to be parked on a property?
Unregistered.
Unregistered, just,
3.
well, he's got 8, 7 or 8.
They're all unregistered.
I have no idea. I don't know, they come and go, you know, sometimes one is gone and then another one. He's got some in the woods parked at the end of the property. And he's got 2 up by the RV.
Well, that's one of those, you know, you asked how much junk is too much, and that's maybe a little bit gray, but how many vehicles is too much is not so gray. It's pretty definitely 3 unregistered. So that's certainly something
Well,
that we can look at.
the biggest thing is, as far as I know, I mean, I know he hasn't had a license. I mean, so here it is, all these vehicles.
So
It's a problem.
Unfortunately, we can't just go in and say, you know, clean this up tomorrow or we're gonna do it for you. You know, that's, we would be violating
Can't you
somebody.
find
We can, but you know, what happens after that? Then we end up going to court. It could take 2 years. I mean, it's not as simple as that.
It's going to take 2 years for him to clean it all. He's waiting for you to just push him to that. That's why he barricaded the garbage so that you can't see unless you go.
We have our zoning administrator and our health officer working on it right now, so They reached out to them, we gotta give them some time, and then we'll go back if it's not cleaned up. That's really the only thing we can do.
Okay, when will you go back, do you know?
Well, it's whatever they put in their letter. I don't deal with this. Tom
Yeah.
and Jeff, our zoning administrators, deal with this and fill me in. So, you know, we usually get 14 days or whatever when we send a letter, so.
When will you go back?
I will go back tomorrow.
Okay. And then after that, when will you go back? I'm serious, because that's how much it's gonna
It's
take.
gonna take,
The problem is it's one property.
It's one huge property.
2 locations,
Yes, on the same property.
Same property, yes,
fifth wheel and the mobile home.
yes.
6 acres of land.
Mr. Bueller,
Do we know if it's septic or sewer or well or?
it's all wells and septic.
Nothing.
It's all well. It's all well and
Yeah, he has
septic.
nothing.
Well, and septic, okay.
Oh, no, well, the trailer does,
Trailer.
yeah, but not the RV.
Okay, so the appropriate town officials are going to continue to be in contact with the landowner.
Okay,
They'll continue to apprise the town manager of any additional steps that need to be taken.
okay,
And I'm sure that at the next board meeting, we'll ask for an update, or Mr. Appleton will provide us for an update
okay,
on
and we
the
will be here.
resolution. Very good. Other questions from the public? Other public comment and participation?
I do.
Mr. Coolidge?
I was out Long Swamp. It looks excellent, even though it's hard rain. DPW's doing a good job.
I'll pass that.
Pass that on, please.
Town farmer was nice to us after yesterday.
Additional public comment or participation? All right. We'll have an item 4A added to the agenda. There's been a request to move the July 22nd select board meeting to July 29th. That will be moving it from the 4th Monday to the 5th Monday. Is that acceptable to the board?
Yes.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes.
Mr. Giles moves.
I'll second that.
Mr. Coolidge seconds to change the July 22nd select board meeting to July 29th instead. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
So the next select board meeting will be the 8th?
The next select board meeting will be July 8th, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, generally we meet 2nd and 4th Mondays. In
Right.
July, we're going to do 2nd and 5th.
okay, July 8th.
Okay, item 5, appointments. We have the annual appointments list. We have a memo from Mrs. Smith at the town office. The incumbents have been approached in several cases, have agreed to serve again. What's the pleasure of the board on the appointments for the fiscal year, or for the terms indicated? Mr. Coolidge, would you like to do them separate?
Okay.
We will do them separate. Item A, the animal control officer. This one was blank.
So our current
That's
one,
another thing. Oh, is it, I'm sorry, is it too late to say something else?
About the topic that you raised?
Yeah.
We did kind of move on.
No, he's got dogs that come into the road barking and growling at the car. I used to be able to walk down and get my mail. I cannot do that anymore because I don't know if these dogs are going to come out at me. Can I shoot them?
Is that in the absence of an animal? Do we still have an animal control officer through the 30th?
till 30th.
Can you call Mr. Cram, the animal control officer? I don't have his phone or website.
Okay,
but
Joe.
If you have a phone number.
Give him a call. He's animal control officer at least through June 30th.
Okay.
He's not asked to be reappointed.
Is he in the
Is he in the
phone book?
phone book?
It's on our website, and you can call the town office and the link and give it.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So we don't have a name to appoint as animal control officer, is that right?
Right.
In the absence of an animal control officer, where does it fall?
Town clerk, right?
It's bad, that's all I
Can I shoot?
Enforcement can be done by the police as long as we have credible witnesses willing to give us statements to take action on certain things.
Okay, so that's not an optimal situation. So if anybody's interested in serving as Brandon's animal control officer, they could contact Mr. Atherton at the town office. There's a stipend provided for the year's service. It's not a per call or an hourly basis. Is it $3,000? It's $3,000 to be animal control officer. So we will continue to seek out a candidate for that position. Item B, the insect control district, it says remainder of a one-year term to reappoint in March. In March, Art Doty did not express interest in serving, but he is an active member of the board. Okay, so this is basically to put Art on the position that he has held. Is there a motion to appoint Art Doty?
Motion, appoint Art Doty.
Mr. Giles moves, Mr. Giles seconds. Any other nominations? If not, all in favor of Art Doty filling the one-year term until March on the insect control district, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Item C, fire warden for a 5-year term ending June 30th, 2024. Linwood Bovee has agreed to serve.
So I move that we have Linwood Bovee as the fire warden.
Second?
Mr. Giles moves, Mr. Coolidge seconds. Are there any other nominations? If not, all in favor of Linwood Bovee as fire warden, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Item D, the deputy fire warden for a 5-year term ending June 30th, 2024. Mike Markowski has agreed to serve.
I move that we appoint Mike Markowski as the deputy fire warden.
Mr. Giles moves.
Second?
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Are there any other nominations? All in favor of Mike Markowski as deputy fire warden, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Item E, the Development Review Board, 2 seats, 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2022. Tom Bowler and John Peterson have agreed to serve.
I move that we appoint both of them to their 3 terms.
Mr. Giles moves.
Second?
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Are there any other nominations? All in favor of Tom Bowler and John Peterson, say aye. Aye, that's unanimous. Item F, the Planning Commission, 2 seats, 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2022. Ethan Nelson and Lowell Rasmussen have agreed to serve.
I move that we appoint them.
Mr. Giles moves.
Second?
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Any other nominations? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Item G, the Revolving Loan Fund Committee, 2 seats, 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2022. Stephanie Jerome and Karen Lynch have agreed to serve.
I move that we appoint them.
Mr. Giles moves.
Second?
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Any other nominations? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Item G, Rutland Regional Transportation Council Representative, 1-year term ending June 30th, 2020. Richard Baker has agreed to serve. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Richard Baker.
I second the motion to appoint Richard Baker. Any discussion? Any other nominations?
Yeah, I'd nominate Dave Atherton.
Mr. Coolidge nominates Dave Atherton. So I guess because we're the size that we are, and we can't have 2 active nominations at the same time, we better dispense with one before we do another one. So all in favor of Richard Baker serving as Rutland Region Transportation Council rep?
Is it possible to have
Yes.
discussion on this before we vote?
Yes.
Okay. So, Dave, do you have an interest in serving on this?
Yeah, I can do the transportation board.
I see. And is it possible to have Richard Baker say whether you're interested in serving on this?
I've done it for 25 years.
I see.
Any
Okay.
discussion?
I guess there's not any further discussion.
Ready to vote. All in favor of Richard Baker, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, so that does not pass due to lack of 3. Did you want to make a motion for Mr. Atherton?
I'll make a motion for Mr. Atherton.
Is there a second to the motion for Mr. Atherton?
Yeah, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of David Atherton as Rutland Region Transportation Council representative for a one-year term ending June 30th, 2020, say aye.
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 Mr. Atherton, will you serve as the Rutland Regional Transportation representative?
Sure.
That opens the Rutland Regional Transportation Council alternate for a one-year term. Any nominations?
I'll nominate Richard Baker.
Mr. Baker is nodding that he would serve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of Mr. Baker, Richard Baker, as Rutland Region Transportation Council alternate for the one-year term, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Item J, Rutland Regional Planning Commission rep for a one-year term. Michael Shank has agreed to serve.
I move that we appoint Michael Shank.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second for Michael Shank. Any discussion? All in favor of Michael Shank, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. And last, the Rutland Regional Planning Commission alternate, David Atherton, has been nominated.
I move that we appoint David Atherton.
Mr. Giles moves.
Second.
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Okay, those are done.
Mr. Chair, just to let folks know too, that we do have positions for alternates on most of these boards, so if anybody's interested, we're always looking for alternates.
So alternates on boards are invited to attend meetings. They only vote if the delegate is absent, right?
They
That's how that
need
works.
someone for a quorum, yeah.
So alternates, anybody interested in serving as an alternate, it's a very good way to learn about a board's work and to learn what a commission does and to participate without having to cast a decided vote. Okay, item 6, the financial management questionnaire. We have both the town treasurer and the town bookkeeper. Is that right?
Is that correct?
2 O's, 2 K's, 2 E's. Yeah, present.
Is there another title you prefer?
Well, their title's kind of.
Which one would you like?
I just,
There's payroll.
I want to be sure you're not taking any offense at the rule.
That's a noble column.
As it is, yes. That's-
She's used to recalling many things.
I think your technical term is administrative assistant to the town manager is what we came up with when we did a job description. So.
Okay.
Would Square be in a position to introduce the questionnaire to the board as she
Sure.
has in the past at times?
So this is actually statutorily required annually for us to do right about this time of the year. And it came about when there were a number of treasurers who were robbing towns, actually. And they realized that, I'm not doing that. They realized that there were really some missing controls in many of these towns. So we really don't have that problem. We have many people doing many things, but they've required us to fill out this financial management questionnaire annually, which I do, and then it gets recorded in the town records, and the auditor asks for it every year.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
So, which of the board members have not attended financial trainings? I think I may be one of them.
I got emails back. I didn't really track who it was. I figured you could, I didn't track who it was. I just asked the question and check off the box, basically.
And are they with the league's training
So we
satisfied us? The VLCT?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And the other question I had is the last question on the form says, does the town loan money to town employees?
So.
And you said, yes, Jackie Savella, PR workaround. And I wonder if you could explain that.
Yeah, so occasionally we have an employee and it's complicated setting up employees in our system and something might get missed and a little bit of time might pass, like a month maybe, until we pay the thing and we were like, oh no, there's a withholding issue. And for many people, it's hard to have a big lump sum come out of somebody's pay. So we just structure it like a loan, and they pay it a little bit over time. So we don't actually give them cash, it's more for payroll deductions.
Is this an exceptional condition, or is this a recurring constant
Exceptional,
condition?
yes. But it happened, so I have to say yes.
No, I found this form incredibly interesting and useful.
Well, there's some that are many, many pages long, which, you know, we can do if you like, but this is the only one required statutorily.
That's very
But
good.
yeah, it is really, it's always good to look at anyway. And we go through a much larger exercise annually when we get audited, so it's there's several pages of that one, so. And the other thing is many towns don't have an outside audit, that's the other thing. So another reason why this was required.
Can you give me a list sometime at your convenience of the board members who don't have financial training? You don't have to do
I bet
it
you
right
could probably top that. I think you answered no when I sent that out. and
Right.
I think you two answered no.
Yeah, I need to know as
And I didn't
well.
hear from Tracy, so if he gets back to me, or you'll probably see him before I do, you can ask him. I think you have. I don't know that Doug has.
Well, as president of a bank, I'm sure he has.
Well, they have to do select board vote. The league ones
It's
come up.
different. Fund accounting's different.
Oh.
It's just a
Every
different.
year.
I beg your
Yeah.
pardon.
You guys get those things in the mail for the league.
Yeah, it just seems, I mean, the purpose of the questionnaire is to raise our attention to the importance of each of these items, and some of them seem like blatantly obvious, like, you don't have people write checks for, you know, things that they shouldn't be writing checks for, this kind of thing. I think the training is worth paying attention to, and, you know.
They
I
usually do the same ones every year, so I'm sure the financial one's coming up, I don't know, I don't think I've seen it.
They usually pop around in March or April, like after, especially for a new year. You know, that's when they usually pop up.
Okay, thanks.
And you should be getting stuff from the VLC regularly, guys?
Yeah, I see a number of things
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah.
So we have to sign this, that we're acknowledging receipt. I don't know that it requires a motion.
I don't think it does. I think you're just
So
gonna sign it.
unless there's objection, we'll sign this to acknowledge receipt so that the auditors have it. Any objection? Very good. Thank you, Sue.
Yeah.
Item 7 is the late homestead penalty. Shall the town penalize late homestead filers per 32 VSA 5410 for the tax year ending June 30th, 2020? Past practice of the town has been that yes, we do. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we do.
Mr. Coolidge moves to continue assessing the late homestead penalty. Is there a second? I will second it. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd be interested to understand the context, you know, why this is before the board, and whether this is a big problem that we address a lot, and thus we need to have, you know, a penalty, or whether this is more of like a rare situation that we have this in our statutes so we can, you know, use it when we need it.
Speak to it if you want again. So, again, this is a statutory requirement, and people who, so, I think the reasoning behind this is when someone doesn't file their taxes by April 15th, they have a late homestead filing, basically. And it gets later through the year too. People can file anytime up through October 15th, I believe. And when that happens, when they file it late, we have to do a new tax bill and send it out, so there's a little bit of cost there. But I really don't like it. I'm throwing that out. I think it penalizes people who have complicated tax returns a lot. Like some people who have businesses, it takes a lot longer to get your tax return filed. And I have noticed over time that it penalizes some of the elderly people who don't always file a return at all, and they might come in and I say, you need to file a homestead election, but they're late. So I'm not a big fan of it. But the point is to try to get people to file a homestead as early as possible.
Right, how often have we used this penalty in the past, in your experience?
How many people are affected by it?
On a yearly basis, I mean, is this something that you have this penalty enforced often?
The penalty it's built in the software. So as soon as you file a late homestead, when the tax bill is generated, it's on the tax bill. So I'd have to go back and look at tax bills. There's a number of them.
Oh, okay.
And some people, if they file their homestead after October 15th, they get the penalty but they don't get to file as a homestead. They don't, because they've gone beyond the date, but they still get the penalty, so their taxes actually increase after that. But I mean, the point of it, I think, the point of a penalty is to encourage people to file early, which is a good thing, and also to pick up some of the cost of having to generate a new bill and mail it out. Unique mailing costs and paper costs and time. But it can be painful for some people. It's 3% of their education tax. That's
It can be as much as 100%.
I thought it was 8%.
Well, no, because our education tax is higher than our non-residential rate is higher than our homestead rate. In some towns, the homestead rate is higher than the non-residential rate, and in that case, it's 8%, but they couldn't make it any more complicated, I don't think. So that's it in a nutshell.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Further discussion?
No.
Ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
All in favor of assessing the late homestead penalty, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
So that fails. Item 8, the tax anticipation note. Again, the town treasurer.
Oh, yeah. Should have sat up front, huh? Me and the stock here. So really, it's just a matter of deciding which of those three, and I have a resolution for you to sign, depending on which one you approve, but I wrote to Community Bank, which used to be Merchant, National Bank of Middlebury, and the Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. Bar Harbor paid back at 2.56%, National Bank of Middlebury 2.29%, Community Bank 3.12%. We're not in a big crunch for cash right now, but I think as this project winds down and we're picking up, we'll be out of that cash, which we've been able to float for a while, so I'm just leaning on the conservative side just in case we need a little cash flow help during the year. We haven't actually, since I've been on, we've never gone out on our tax anticipation notes, but
So are you asking to make a select, the board?
I would recommend the National Bank of Middlebury because it's lower.
That's a 2.65?
That's 2.29.
2.29.
It's close to the Bar Harbor Bank. I have to jump through a lot more hoops with National Bank of Middlebury, but they're not really set up for, they're not set up well for municipal borrowing. They kind of make you do the business borrowing stuff, which is a little more work, but again, we're not in any big hunt to get cash, so we're fine. I don't know what to do.
So just good to have in place. Yeah. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we take Sue's advice and accept the National Bank of Middlebury bid.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion by Mr. Giles and a second by Mr. Coolidge to pursue a tax anticipation note for $500,000 at 2.29% for the coming fiscal year from the National Bank of Middlebury. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Item 9 is the assignment of funds. That's you, Jackie, all right.
So we only have 3 this time, which is really wonderful. For assignments, $75,000 for the police department to help cover for a full-time officer, $10,000 for the town clerk for some vault upgrades, and $4,975 for football for the rec program.
So is the next sentence on the memo, is it referring to the stuff above it? Like this doesn't require action by the select board?
Correct. So things that are automatically restricted are down at the bottom. That's records preservation, highway funds, prepaid expenses, any rec donations, which also includes a Brandon Ski Club donation.
So I just need a motion for the top three.
Right, just those top three.
So the sentence is not referring to the stuff above, it's referring to stuff below it, okay. I do have a question.
Yes.
I don't recall that we've ever encumbered a salary, because in the coming year, I would think we have funded in the budget what we've authorized for positions. And I'm just a little concerned what this is. Do you know what I'm saying? Usually it's equipment, or it's a program, and generally, you know, we start July 1st with X number of positions, and so those are there to be used. So this is like putting a position onto next year from this year's number.
This was unspent due to the vacancy that we had during this time, and the discussion I've had with the town manager, and I think with the board to a certain extent, is that if we were, because of the fact that we have two part-time people that just completed their training, that if I could encumber that money to take that part-time person and use that for a full-time position, we could then in turn take the one full-time position that we have and utilize that as a school resource officer, for which we would be reimbursed by the school.
So how many full-time officers do we have before we do this?
We're allocated for 7. We currently have 6.
Okay. And then if we do this, we'd have 8 allocated, and one of them would be a school resource officer?
One of the 2 part-time officers is scheduled to go to the August Academy, which would then make him the 7th, which would then bring our staffing up to where that's supposed to be. And then the 8th person, who would be the 2nd part-time officer, he could be utilized as a full-time officer if I could get him into the same academy. So we would be back to where we were, which when I take one away from us to go to the school, it puts me back down to 7 essentially again. So we're keeping the staffing at 7, but we're now, if we can get staff to fill those slots, then we're taking a full-time person who's already going to be receiving specialized training as a school resource officer to be back in the school, which they will pay that person's salary and benefits back to the town.
So is this arrangement coming to us now and didn't come when the budget process was happening because the possibility with the school hadn't developed yet?
Both the possibility with the school hadn't developed yet, and the staffing wasn't available at that point either.
The candidates to fill the positions? Further discussion? Motion? Take them separately?
Okay.
Item 1, $75,000 assigned from current fiscal year to upcoming fiscal year. Police Department full-time officer. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Is there discussion on this? All in favor of this assignment of funds, say aye.
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 It's unanimous. Item 2, $10,000 from the clerk's current year budget to next year's budget for the purpose of upgrading the vault.
Yeah, I move that we give the clerk $10,000 for vault upgrades.
Second. Motion from Mr. Giles, second from Mr. Coolidge. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Item 3, $4,975 from the current year's recreation football program for next year's recreation football program.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Coolidge
I'll
moves.
second.
Mr. Giles seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Okay. Does that take care of everything? Perfect. Thank you very much. 9A, an update about the transfer station from Mr. Giles.
Yeah, we're continuing with contract discussions, and the reason why I want to bring the update up is just so the board understands and people in the community understand is that the cost of recycling continues to be a challenge, and we're moving towards reducing the rent as a subsidy, a way to subsidize the cost of recycling. And that's in motion. We haven't completed the process yet. It's possible to make it down as low as 0. And so I just wanted you mostly to understand where we're going with this.
Questions? You've been the board liaison, who else has been?
Doug went with me to
Doug's been.
to a meeting and to the visit to the transfer station.
And Public Works Director and Town Manager are apprised of
I've been in
the discussion.
regular conversations with the town manager and public works.
Seems to be a Monday morning thing last week, actually.
Very good. Well, I don't think there's any action we need to take.
No, I think the last-
Appreciate the update.
Well, the last thing I would say is that there is a solid middle ground that we seem to be coalescing around, and that's good. This doesn't seem to be a contentious thing.
I think we've discussed in the past, and probably bears repeating, that, the world of waste management and recycling has changed really significantly in the very recent past, and it's an apt time to be renegotiating a contract with an operator for the transfer station.
And we're changing it to a yearly basis, so that will allow us to be more nimble as we go forward.
More flexibility, very good. Thank you for joining the meetings, Mr. Dow. Thank you for the update. 9B is an update on the wetlands reclassification proposal.
Yeah, I've been attending those meetings, and they're moving along in an orderly fashion. They have 2 public conversations this week, and that's really the reason I bring this up, is so anybody who has an interest in this can go to these. There's one on Tuesday night at 6:30 at the Cornwall Town Hall. And it's a short presentation, 10 minutes, and it's really a time for people to ask questions. And there will be knowledgeable people there to field questions about this. And for those who might be new to this, what this is suggesting that we reclassify the swamp area from a Class 2 to a Class 1. You can really do everything you were doing before in the Class 1 swamp. And the only difference is that it protects it from development a little bit more going forward. The second wetland meeting is at the Salisbury Congregational Church on Thursday this week, also at 6:30. And they'll both be the same thing for people that can go to one or the other.
So Tim, I've actually had more people come and see me in the last 2 weeks on this topic.
Right.
More than segment 6, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've been contacted as well.
I did have a landowner come in who owns land out off 73 who did not get a letter, so he was a little concerned about that. But I can tell you that the folks that are coming in to see me are not happy. They can't figure out why this, and the number one question is, does the select board have the final say in this within the town?
Yeah, and I can tell you the answer to that.
And that's one that I think they're really concerned about. The state's sort of rolling everybody over, and this is like a warm, fuzzy, feel-good thing, or is it going to have some local jurisdiction on it?
Yeah. So the first thing is, if they didn't get a letter, then their land does not fall into the swamp designation.
This one definitely does.
Well, but the interesting thing here is that you think that if you see, standing water and reeds, it must be in the swamp. But really, where they draw the boundary is.
No, we looked at the map. It's on.
Okay.
It's in the blue on the map. So.
Okay. Well.
But I'm just, I don't know if some people were,
I mean, that's what I was told as far as the overlay, because they say that they could take all of our data, which is on the computer, and lay it over their swamp boundary data, and that's how we came up with the letter list. But in answer to your second question, no, the board, there's really no body locally that has any authority over making a request to change the classification. This is any person in the state of Vermont can say, I'd like to suggest that, what's called, they make a petition to change the classification. And then once it goes into the process, then there's this time for public input. And ultimately, it's our elected representatives that decide whether or not the body of evidence says that we should reclassify or not.
So if the select board decides to vote no, they don't want to change it.
Right.
It does not stop there.
Right. I mean, it certainly weighs in. I mean, you know, it's a voice in the public forum, and it's meaningful, but there's no authority to put the brakes on and say they can't do it. Because, as I say, anybody can make this petition.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I'm planning to go tomorrow night. It will be interesting.
And you know, the last thing I would actually say, just for the benefit of the public, you know, interest in this, is that, a lot of what we're talking about here is balancing public and private interests. And that it's possible that there may be a landowner that disagrees with this. And yet, it's possible that in the public forum, when they weigh the benefits to our society of protecting this wetland, that will outweigh the interest of the, you know, private landowner.
So, like the point I brought up, maybe the last 2 times we talked about, was that we already have those in place through our river corridor and our flood management.
Right.
That, you know, we're not gonna let someone, I mean, if someone went down there with a can of fill, there would be some problems, you know, and then the state actually does get involved.
No, it's true, it's a very
So-
small change.
But I think that, from what I'm hearing from folks, is it's just one more thing, you know, that the state's saying, you know, now it's going from 50 feet to 100 feet, and you know, people are not happy about it. It's kind of like when we went through the wildlife thing a few years ago. It's the same exact thing. So I hope that the legislative bodies that are involved listen to people and realize that, you know, they might want to just listen to everyone before they make a decision. So,
It's a long process.
it's a long
They do a lot of listening.
Thank you again for participating in that and updating the board.
Yeah.
If no further discussion on it, we'll go to number 10. Purchase of next year's propane. We have a memo from Mr. Burlett, Public Works Director, recommending Files Brothers at $1.30 per gallon for next year, a decrease of 15 cents per gallon over the current year's pricing.
For propane.
For propane. Pleasure of the board.
I move that we accept that proposal.
Mr. Giles moves.
Second.
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. We have the same memo recommending purchase of next year's diesel fuel, heating fuel, and gasoline from Champlain Valley Fuels. They've been our supplier since July of 2015 for fuel oil and diesel fuel, our supplier of gasoline since 2016. They have quoted fuel at 30, the cap for heating fuel and diesel fuel is 35 cents lower than the current year. The price of gasoline increased by 5 cents. And their quote is number 2, fuel oil and off-road diesel at Montreal rack price plus 25 cents per gallon, capped at $2.20. And gasoline at Montreal rack price plus 25 cents per gallon. Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve that.
Mr. Coolidge moves to approve.
Second.
Mr. Kyle seconds. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have the warrants. Item C, the regular municipal warrant.
Make a motion to approve the June 24th warrant, $39,226.50.
I second.
Mr. Coolidge moves and Mr. Giles seconds. Are there any questions about any of the bills? If not, all in favor of the warrant as it appears, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Item D, the Route 7 construction warrant.
Make a motion to approve the Route 7 construction warrant, $650,289.65.
And then I'll second
Mr.
that.
Coolidge moves and Mr. Giles seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Letter E, the Bridge 114 warrant.
I'll finish it up.
Sure.
How about $9,732.40 for Bridge 114?
Mr. Coolidge moves.
Second.
Mr. Giles seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. We have an executive session which we're going to do. We had also warned the Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting. I'm going to suggest that we postpone that until July. if that's acceptable. We cancel the sewer commission meeting.
Why not?
Okay, so we're gonna forego the Board of Sewer Commissioners meeting. We'll recess the select board and say our goodbyes, and then we will do an executive session. Thank you all.